Hey y'all, it's me, Miss Sonia C. Hope everybody is blessed, having an awesome Friday, had an awesome week. I'm going to continue reading from Pathway to Serenity by Deanna Allens, and I'm starting on chapter 6. And if you are checking me out right now, you guys, I want you to hit the thumbs up and subscribe and share. Okay. Hold on one second. Malcolm, close my door real quick. Give me this water real quick. So maybe I'll just wait a second anyways to see if anybody's gonna join me. You guys, this is a really good book. Thank you. Close the door.
But it is closed. Oh, that one or that
Close this door.
one? Oh.
Babe, my shoes right there, Malcolm. Thank you, babe. All is well. Water. All right. Chapter 6. How does your garden grow? If you know, if you know what it is, if you know what it is like to feel empty, maybe you're ready to get some peace with yourself. Only God can help you achieve serenity. I once was broken down, defeated, torn apart, a real mess. Not anymore. The journey I have traveled thus far has placed me smack dab in the middle of my destiny. The very reason I was created. Now I am connected, functioning, belonging to something. I am no longer a prisoner. I have been set free. I have shared with you some of the things that I had created that had created the broken me. Now I'd like to move forward and give you a glimpse of how I have come to the peaceful and productive side where I am today. I would like to share with you an important part of my life, the life I live today, a discipline that I have come to learn and understand that I practice daily in my life. I call it weed eating my garden. In the last chapter, we talked about unloading our wagons. I do this by continually and routinely weed eating my garden. My life is what I consider to be my garden. My garden is broken down into sections. These sections are physical, emotional, financial, and spiritual. Have you ever planted a garden? There are many things to do when planting a garden. Before you could even begin planting, you have to have an idea of where your garden will be and what will go in it. It takes planning to grow a garden. Once you know where you want your garden and what items will be planted, there is still more preparation. Where I live, the soil is like clay. It is very hard, and there are even small rocks beneath the top layer. If you've ever tried planting in this type of soil, you know it's difficult to grow much of anything. If if you could even get the seed into the ground. Let me reread that sentence. If you ever tried planting in this kind of soil, you know it's difficult to grow much of anything if you could even get the seed into the ground. Before you can plant, you have to water and water and water and water and then water some more. After you've got the ground good and moist, you have to dig. If you have skipped the important step of tilling, breaking up the soil that goes deep, all your effort to get the seed in the ground will likely be a waste. This is because once the seed sprouts, the roots are not strong enough to go down deep. Sometimes to promote the health of the good roots, you also add fertilizer or nutrients to the soil so the plant can have all it needs. There are also other considerations for the location of the planting. Some plants need more sun than others, and even different climates. I understand you may be wondering what and even different climates. Wait, hold on. Some plants need more sun than others, and even different climates. I understand you may be wondering what all this has to do with finding peace and serenity, let alone how to get connected to your destiny and feel like your life is worth living and that you bring value to the world. So bear with me and enjoy the journey. The Bible gives you a story just like what I've been telling you about. There's a story Jesus told about a farmer planting. Jesus talked about the condition of the soil and how condition affects everything. The story says, Matthew 13:1 and 9. Later that same day, Jesus left the house and went down to the shore, where an immense crowd soon gathered. He got into a boat where he sat and taught as the people listened on the shore. He told many stories, such as this one. A farmer went out to plant some seed. As he scattered it across his field, some seeds fell into a footpath, and the birds came and ate them. Other seeds fell on shallow soil with underlying rock. The plants sprung up quickly, but they soon wilted beneath the hot sun and died because the roots had no nourishment in the shallow soil. Other seeds fell among thorns that shot up and choked out the tender blades. But some seeds fell on fertile soil and produced a crop that was 30, 60, and even 100 times as much as had been planted. Anyone who is willing to hear should listen and understand. Let me take this right to my life for an explanation. Throughout my life, seeds were being dropped. But you see, I had been abused, rejected, abandoned, and walked on. My emotions had been trampled over time and time again. Without my willingness to deal with and forgive those injuries and wounds, the soil, my heart, was hard like the footpath. In the story told above, you see that the birds were able to come and eat those seeds. The seeds have never even got into the ground. They became merely food for the passerby. Likewise, I had missed out on what was meant for me because my heart was not in a condition to receive it. Joy passed my way too quickly for me to know it had ever been there. Drops of serenity came and went much the same way. Good times tried to find me, but easily vanished as quickly as they had come. During this time, rather than seeing that I could take action and work the soil so I could receive good things in my life, I blamed God and wondered why He had allowed such a life for me. Then came the reason of confrontation. I faced head on those issues in my past that left my heart so hard. The very things that had turned me into the footpath discussed in Matthew 13:14 above. Then came the season of realizing there were stones beneath the surface. I began to understand and recognize the wounds that had hardened my soul. I had not realized how much of my life was dominated by the hardness. I have developed some behaviors and attitudes that were like the underlying rock. I had dealt with the parts that were caused by others, but not by myself. I was soon experiencing short periods of peace and serenity. But as the story tells, those moments were short lived. Beneath the topsoil of my heart was still hard enough to kill the seed. The heat of life, kind of like the sun that wilted the plants in Jesus' story, was overwhelming to me. Because of the rocks in my heart, roots and anything good couldn't take, and anything good soon wilted and died under the heat. Let's not forget the thorny ground. Thorns shot up and choked tender blades. It never seemed to fail. Something good would come my way, and before I knew it, one thing or another had ruined it. Thorns or weeds in the garden, if you can imagine. Let me show you a definition of the word weed that I found. Weed, a plant considered undesirable, unattractive, or troublesome, especially one growing where it is not wanted, as in a garden. Do you see how I could have been frustrated? If you see yourself somewhere in the first three analogies, I can see and relate to your frustration. But remember, this is the chapter where we learn how to move away from frustration, hopelessness, crisis, and chaos. We move by removing. We break up the hard outer shell of our hearts, the footpaths. We dig deep and tear up the ground several layers beneath. There we can find stones firmly stuck underneath the surface. We can remove unwanted plants that choke out our desired ones. These unwanted things may be different for you or someone you know. Remember, I shared what some of this yard work looked like for me. In my garden, there were things like abuse, physical, verbal, and sexual, rejection, abandonment, betrayal, unforgiveness, hatred, guilt, shame, blame, denial, divorce, abortions, promiscuity, addictions, and relationship addiction. There was extreme damage, damage that had been both inflicted upon me, that which I had created or allowed. Nevertheless, if beautiful things were going to grow in my garden, an extreme overhaul and continued maintenance was needed. Years passed, and the day came when my garden was cleaner. Today it was manicured and kept up. I wish I could tell you my garden is weed free, but that would be a lie. There are times when things pop up and try to choke out the tender blades of the beauty in my garden. I just have a different action plan to handle them. First of all, because God is my gardener, I am able to see the weeds for what they really are. In the past, these weeds could invade and stick around for years before I even knew what happened. Have you ever had a weed growing that looked like a flower? Today there are times when we Today there are times when those types of weeds crop up. They look very much like something good, and yet they have the ability to take over the tender things. Some of these things for me are relationships and busyness. I get into all kind of things of projects for good causes. What am I doing? What I am doing is good, and yet I may be neglecting my family in the process. There are times when I say yes to things just because I don't want to hurt people by saying no. Then there are times when I say yes because I'm so worried about what they may think of me. I perform for approval still. But the great news is I don't do it nearly as often. When I do, it's unintentional. And once I realize what is going on, I'm able to correct it. That's that boundary. With God as my gardener, I am able to set and keep boundaries today. Amen. I think I just said that. Now that's progress. So, in addition to identifying those weeds in my garden, I'm able to remove them. This is how God keeps peace in my life. Please don't get me wrong. I am not saying that everything in our life needs to be removed. Not everything is a weed. In my garden, there are many beautiful things that are growing and flourishing and producing. I am now able to love and enjoy my garden. It takes work keeping up my garden, though. In addition to weed eating my garden, there are also pruning. Anyone who has ever experienced a great relationship knows those two take great effort. So, what does pruning look like for me in my life? I don't know if you have children. I do. There are times when I need to correct, discipline, and even punish my children. Yes, there's a difference. Because of physical and verbal abuse of my past, I saw everything as a punishment. Even into my adult life, when someone would lovingly try to offer me constructive criticism, I look at it as an attack. Then I did one of the two things. I got defensive or rebelled, usually both. Correction and discipline are necessary in order to help our children get and stay right on track as human beings. Perhaps you've seen a parent who didn't do these things. Unruly, uncontrollable children are usually the outcome. The child gets his or her way at any cost. The parent constantly bends to the desires of the child, allowing the child to be the one in control. Although, to the observer, these children appear to be very out of control. A healthy parent would teach their children. The parent will establish boundaries and structure for the child's life. This helps the child develop good character. A healthy a healthy parent will also allow a child the freedom to make some choices. I'm not talking about letting your child decide to run out into the street. Parents are responsible to watch over the safety and well-being of their children. For this very reason, correction and discipline are needed. What about children who are either not corrected or not or are too harshly punished? A parent allows a child to continually make poor choices that lead to horrible consequences. This happens for many different reasons. Sometimes, as parents, we're too busy. Perhaps we see the situation and don't know how to handle it. We lack the training and experience. Worse yet, our own childhoods have incorrectly trained us. Then they, then there may be times when we see situations and due to guilt and shame, choose to bury our heads in the sand. Oh, excuse me, my voice is going out. We choose to bury our heads in the sand because we believe we are at fault. Whoa. Okay. Hello. Okay. So, this chapter, I am so tense right now. That's crazy. Oh, I need a massage. I think I'm gonna have to stop it right here because my neck hurt. I'm just so tired. It's been a very long week for me, and I'm gonna stop right here because I'm just my voice my voice is crackling. My voice is crackling, and I'm just exhausted. I know when my body talks to me, y'all. It's Friday. You know you getting old when it's a Friday night and it's 8 o'clock, and you about to drop because you tired because you've been out working. You just, yeah. What? Wait a minute, hold on. I didn't mean to say that. I still feel like I'm 30 some days. Let me get that straight. I don't feel old like that, but I do right now feel a little out of shape and a little sore because I've been chasing kids around all day. Oh gosh. I need my handheld massager. I'm about to give myself a nice massage. I hope everybody has a good night. God bless you, and hopefully you're enjoying the book with me as I'm reading it. Pathways to Serenity. God bless. Take care.